Are you ready for 45 minutes of orbs?
So magic has lots of orbs.
It does.
Did you happen to do a scryfall search and see just how many orbs there are?
Yeah. I didn't write down the number, but I bet you did.
Yep, I think it's 657. Let's see if I'm right. Oh, 524. Where did I get that number from? But yes, there are a lot of orbs,
Yes.
and we have selected a few of the many. Do we want to talk about why people ponder orbs, for anyone who might have missed that moment in our culture?
Sure. I guess it has, I have kept it alive. It is very much alive in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
There was a point in time where many of us
Yeah.
were
Everyone was pondering their orbs. And it's all thanks to a magazine cover that was like 30 years old at the time.
It just like resurfaced.
Yeah. It was from like 93, I think.
Yeah.
And it was from this Middle-earth role-playing game, and there's Saruman pondering the Palantir.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that just went incredibly viral in late 2001. And everyone was pondering orbs for a while. And I feel that quite a few of the orbs we've seen in Magic since then must have been referencing that to some degree. Someone
Wait,
tells you...
Did you say 2001?
Yeah.
Was it that old? Oh, wow.
Let me find the... December 2001 is when it peaked.
You mean 2021?
Words, numbers are hard.
What is time?
Did I say
You
2001?
did! That's why I was like, are you sure you meant 2001?
I'm gonna blame that on the ADHD. Whatever.
What is time?
Yeah, what is time?
But yeah,
Okay.
this
been
really
4
had a
years.
moment. This had a moment. I still think about this a lot, and I personally think, I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I think that people in general, humans, if you will, kind of like things that are round. Target had a display for a long time where they were advertising some kind of smart home Bluetooth speaker thing that was very round. And I don't remember which one it was. That's not important. What is important is the marketing materials they put behind it, which were just a bunch of things that were round. So it was like a cat curled into a ball.
Yeah.
Like a loaf. It was like a round sourdough bread. It was just like satisfying things that are round. And every time I would walk past it, I would just kind of look at it knowingly, like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I didn't buy the smart home device.
But you remember it.
But I remember it.
Yeah.
So, effective? Well, yeah, I think people like things that are round. I mean, look at Akira Toriyama's, like, Capsule Corp architecture. It's great. It's round.
I think there is something fundamentally appealing to orbs. And they just show up, not 657 times, 524 times.
Yeah,
in
clearly
Magic so
there's
far.
something nice about them.
Yeah.
So what is an orb?
What is an orb?
Oh, so I looked up the definition the other night because I was looking through Scryfall and trying to find the most satisfying orbs.
I
to
appreciate
ponder.
that you expected me to have that definition just ready to go, though.
Yeah, I figured that would just be, like, off the top of your head. So yeah, it's basically something that is spherical. I think the definition I looked up said something, it alluded to something almost planetary in nature. So maybe that's where, maybe that's where the appeal comes from. Is like
and we're definitely going to see some cards that reference the planets.
Yes. I have a favorite orb, which maybe we should save for the end.
Yeah.
Because it's the best one.
Okay.
But also, I realized while I was looking this up that the runner-up for the favorite orb is the moon. So a lot of these orbs are just pictures of the moon. Which counts because it is spherical and it is a planetary object.
So I've separated the list of orbs you sent me into a directory of just orbs. Like,
love it.
Per the magic card, it is an orb.
Yes.
Do you want to start there?
Sure. So first up, the first orb to ponder is Resurrection Orb. This is a
orb.
fun orb that came out pretty recently. This was in one of the Warhammer Commander decks, so not everybody may have seen this orb, but it's quite fun to play.
I imagine it's part of the Warhammer lore.
Probably.
Or the 40K lore.
I don't know anything about the 40k lore, but I did buy this deck because it's mono black, and I really enjoy playing it.
Yeah.
This is a fun orb. It gives the equipped creature lifelink, and when the creature dies, you bring it back to the battlefield under the owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So I like this orb. I like the green in the art, and the symbols are probably meaningful in a way that I do not understand, but I appreciate them.
They're social constructs. It's fine.
Yeah.
Antisocial constructs. I don't know. Also recent is the Orb of Dragonkind.
Now, this particular orb I wanted to point out because there is a series of, I think they are Love Your Game Store promos that were exclusive to Japan.
Oh. And there's
And
another art for it?
There's 3 alternative versions of this art. They're all by the same artist, who I was trying to look up a bit more information about and was struggling to find anything relevant. But yeah, if you look at alternate, it's Love Your LGS 123, and they feature the hero Lil Geary, who has also been featured on some. I think it was a Secret Lair that we did have in English, but it features Lil Geary in 3 different depictions with a different orb of Dragonkind. I think this is the Lapis orb, which is depicted in another card that we'll look at in a bit later. But these are fantastic. I was actually looking at buying these the other night because I'm so I love this little character. Like I wish that we got to see more of them. And I've picked up a couple of the promos featuring Lil Geary. I don't have any of these, but I think I'm going to go home and buy some. That particular one, number 1, I think is like $25 right now. The other 2 are between $7 and $12.
Okay.
But yeah, gotta ask what my happiness is worth, right?
Yeah. It's worth $25.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Treat yourself.
Yeah. So next up we've got Mindlock Orb. Now this is a quality orb by RK Post. Its effect, though, is kind of sinister. Players can't search their libraries. What do you think about this one?
I think I like that because, I guess I'm thinking in the context of Commander because it's an older card.
Sure.
And I like not letting people take forever turns. I like to play.
You don't like 30-minute turns?
I like big green stompy decks that just like, my turns are like 30 seconds. It's like, okay, here's my big stuff, go. And I realize that's me imposing my preferences on a lot of people. This lets me impose my preferences on lots of people, like, within the game. That's great.
What set is this from? I forget.
That's one of the Alaras.
Okay.
I don't recall if that's the shards.
Yeah, I don't hate this. I also don't love it. I do play a lot of black. I do like to run tutors, and this kind of shuts that down.
I love things that say, look at the top 4, look at the top 6.
Yeah.
Like, that's a much more, keeps the game moving forward kind of interpretation, that kind of thing.
That's fair. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't like it.
Okay. You chose this orb.
I know. I mean, it's a quality orb. I just don't like what it does.
Okay. Further back in time.
This is the Orb of Dreams. This one makes permanents come into play tapped.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. It features a lot of different creatures. There's the one that I see most clearly looks like a crocodile. And there's also some people and maybe
like a lizard here, a tiger maybe.
There's something breathing fire. Like, at first I thought there was a candle in the center, but it looks like it's coming out of another...
What do you suppose this is made from?
I don't know.
It looks like scrimshaw.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it's some kind of carved piece of ivory or something. This is from one of the Kamigawa sets.
I think that's Betrayers?
Is it Betrayers? It's the one with the little star.
The shuriken, yeah.
So I could see that.
The gate is Champions and Saviors is the lantern, so this is Betrayers.
Okay. Yeah, I like this orb. I think it's a good orb.
I should have established from the beginning, what was your criteria for putting these orbs on the list? That you like them?
Yeah.
All right. These are your favorite orbs out of the hundreds and hundreds of orbs.
Yes, out of the 520-something orbs, these are my favorites.
Okay.
So this is the Lapis Orb of Dragonkind. Now that I'm looking at it, I realize this is not the orb that Lil Geary is pursuing.
No, similar color.
But it's similar color. And I like this one too. I like, one of my favorite things about this particular orb is actually the dragon eye behind it that's eyeing it.
I didn't even perceive that. That's amazing.
So I enjoy that.
That's why we do this.
Yeah, that's exactly why we do this.
Is it still really an orb if it has a textured surface?
I didn't see anything saying that it couldn't have a textured surface. I mean, if we're talking planetary bodies, most of those are going to have some kind of textured surface, despite being generally... I mean, most orbs are not perfectly spherical, right?
Rude. Anyway.
But they can be.
Still in the cycle of the... Are these stones? Lapis and carnelian.
Okay.
The stone orbs? The precious stone orbs? I don't know.
Yeah, this is a carnelian orb of Dragonkind. And this is another one that kind of evokes the eye shape.
Yeah, is it part of an eye? This one's kind of body horror-esque.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like from the top perspective, oh, I see what it actually is. It's actually a wing going around it.
Oh,
but from
I
top
see
it looks like it's part of the eye, but then if that's true, then there's this spiky thing up in the eye, and what's happening? But
it's sitting on kind of a spiky pedestal thing, and now I see the wing. Okay.
Okay.
At a glance, though, it does kind of evoke the shape of an eye, and
that wasn't the body horror set.
Bit horrific.
And then the jade orb.
The jade orb, and all of these kind of have this. They all have the same design, from what I can see, with the triple dragons holding on to a ring carved into the different colored stone.
Why do you suppose that we have teamer orbs of Dragonkind, but not black or white?
I don't know.
There we go.
Don't know. Moving on.
Same set.
Same set. Navigation orb.
Yeah.
So this is another one that has some carvings in it. And,
I wonder if this has got to be a proper D&D object.
I was thinking that. I don't know what it is within the game, but
I'm just going to search for 5e
we can
navigation
find
orb.
out. We can find out.
And find out.
It's 7 feet in diameter?
Storm King's Thunder is where it came from. Yeah, wow.
I did not get
Hollow
that
7-foot diameter, then polished mithril.
from the picture.
Yeah.
Like, I thought this was more like the size of a baseball.
So you go in it. You're the Flight of the Navigator.
Okay, that's
Charlie
way
Too Old
cooler.
reference.
That's a
you know
lot.
that reference?
I've seen it. Yeah, this
Nice.
is actually way cooler now that I know. Because, like, I thought this was like a little baseball-sized
that's what I
orb,
was
and I was like,
perceiving, too.
neat, that's cool.
I don't know why I'm saying perceive constantly today.
Well,
It's the word of the day! Anyway.
perceive, I don't know. We're pondering, we're perceiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're learning things. We'll have to come back to that
Gotta
one.
come back to that one.
Here's an old, like, bizarrely significant one.
Yeah, Zuran orb.
Yeah, this was like... this was just considered a good, very desirable card.
Yeah. I mean, it's a 0-drop. We don't see a lot of 0-drops in the game.
Yeah.
With an ability that you can just activate.
Yeah. It was such a big deal that it was free.
That's interesting.
People just thought that was so great because it was...
Yeah.
It could keep you alive for so long. Yeah. What's next? The Witchbane
Next is
orb?
the Witchbane orb. This one is from Innistrad.
I mean, personally, I'm opposed to repelling witches. I think witches are neat, but this has a cool vibe.
It does
Maybe
have a
this
cool
is
vibe.
what witches use as a bane to things they just don't like.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of neat. So when it enters, it destroys all curses attached to you.
Yeah, that's really specific.
And then it gives you hexproof. So I guess it could be for or against witches, depending on who's using it.
Yeah. So witch could use it to...
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Hexproof from other witches.
Chaos Orb.
Yes.
Progenitor of Confetti Orb.
Yes. This is a fun one. I like the face.
Yeah. It's a pity that it got eliminated from the game so early, but they very quickly realized they did not want dexterity checks in a presumably purely intellectual game.
Yeah.
And so this, and was it Falling Star? got the axe, never to be seen again.
Yeah, we're just like not gonna do
And
that.
I have no idea how true the urban legend is, but if you haven't heard it, the story was that someone in a tournament setting took one of these and ripped it up into a bunch of pieces and then tossed it, and it was still the Chaos Orb, so everything the confetti touched was destroyed. Have you not heard that?
No.
Yeah, that's why.
I love that though.
That's why they printed confetti. Or
That makes sense.
It's that dominant of a story. For all I know, it's true. I really have no idea.
That's wonderful. I mean, I could see somebody doing that, and then I'm just like
Yeah.
calling for a judge and be like, technically.
Yeah. I wonder if they ever made an official ruling on that.
Oh no. This was one I've never seen before. This is actually a playtest card.
Yep.
This is Orb of Origin. And it makes other non-creature artifacts mono and continuous.
Yeah, speaking of, actually, we were just looking at an alpha. Yeah, Chaos Orb was mono, so
Yeah.
you want to explain what that means for the folks who aren't?
Yeah, you should explain it, because I think you probably have a better definition of it.
So, as of the beginning of the game in alpha, all artifacts were either mono or poly. If they were mono, they had to tap to be used.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
just what mono, instead of saying tap, or they didn't have the tap symbol at the beginning of the game. And if it was poly, it was, I think, let's,
Should we look up an
I
official
think poly can be
definition?
reused, so it'll probably
Okay.
have like an activated ability or something, and then it can,
Okay, I mean, that makes sense, like, once per turn
Yeah.
versus multiple times.
but what I forget is, were there also continuous, yeah, continuous, Ankh of Mishra, as an example that just has an effect. They've improved the user interface a lot on this game over the years. So, oh, right. So,
Yeah, so Orb of Origin, this one actually features a couple of different orbs, 6 to be exact.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is a playtest card that I'd never seen till yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, right. And so the rest of that, where it mentions that as long as a continuous artifact is tapped, it loses its all abilities. And that was also part of the alpha rule set. And so you would turn off the Howling Mine. And I think the Howling Mine is the one card when they changed the rules to just get rid of that as a concept, they wanted Howling Mine to still work that way. So they incorporated that into its
Yeah,
rules
because that's
text.
I know that's in the rules text on that one, like,
But
as
yeah,
long
it's
as it's
not
untapped.
on the alpha. It's a continuous artifact there. This is each player draws one extra card each turn during his or her draw phase. And the only way to turn that off was knowing that the rules said if it got
Yeah.
tapped, it would... And, speaking of orbs and alpha, I wanted to bring up Icy Manipulator.
Yes.
Because there are quite a few orbs in alpha. And that's another good one.
That's a quality orb.
Yeah, it just such a striking image. And that one also had, when I was in like middle and high school, that one had an air of mystery. And I'm pretty sure it was a rare or uncommon, and it was not included in Revised. So we just thought it was gone, and it was going to be so hard to ever get one of those. And then it was in Ice Age, and that was a huge deal, and everyone was so hyped and saying, yeah, now we're going to have that power. And then we all realized, oh, yeah, it can have uses, but it's not really an overpowered beast like a Black Lotus or a Mox. So that was a journey. Okay.
Next up is the Polygraph Orb. This is a very recent orb from Murders at Karlov Manor. I just really like the colors on this one, and kind of the idea that it looks like there's a sigil on the person's hand, and so it looks like the way this is connected, it's like magically tethered to the person.
Yeah.
And you can see the little polygraph line going around
I didn't notice that.
the orb itself as this person presumably lies.
Once again, an advantage
Or-
of looking at these cards on a big screen instead of at card size.
Yeah, I'd never noticed that at card size. I saw this when I was looking through them yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. I think that's neat.
Yeah.
Then we have the Mesmeric Orb. This is a super fun card that I really like. And I really like the colors in the orb itself. I like how there's this kind of neat, swirly, spaghetti-like background with all these different jewel tone colors. And then within the orb itself, we kind of see the fingers of this device that's holding it in place without actually touching it. And we see some of those colors, but I love how this isn't a true reflection
Yeah, not of what's behind it, at least.
Not of what's behind it, at least. So it's like,
are
what
we
is...
seeing something mysterious on this side of it, and what is it? And that is neat.
Yeah, this is a very visually striking card for me.
Yeah.
Which, like, every time I see this,
the surface of the table is kind of Geiger-esque.
It is. It is, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that'll mill you out.
Yeah.
All right.
That'll do it.
Torpor Orb!
Yes! You can probably guess why I picked this one.
Phyrexians?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta conclude this. But yeah, look at that orb.
Yeah. It's encased in something. Is it a living? I don't know what it is.
No. Yeah, I don't know. It's implied that this is a device for some purpose. It causes creatures entering to not trigger abilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really sure what this does. There's an onlooker staring at it, or perceiving it, if you will.
Is it being torpored?
Maybe it's being torpored. Maybe
just having torpor imposed upon it.
Perhaps. I'm not sure, really. Yeah. I don't...
That's all right. It's okay to have some mystery.
Yeah, I think orbs are inherently a bit mysterious.
Yeah. Now this. The dispersing orb is it is as close as you can possibly get to the pondering orb origins.
When I was thinking about this video, I was like, we have to put this card in here. Yeah, this is a great one. It's very, very easy to ponder that orb.
Yeah, not easy to use. That is incredibly expensive for everything, but if you can
it costs 5.
Figure out how to use it, I'm impressed. Effectively.
It costs 2 blue and 3. And then once you do that, it costs a blue and 3. And then you have to sack a permanent on top of that.
So if
you bounce a permanent to its own...
If you have blue in your aristocrats deck, I can see this possibly having application.
I don't know. There's better ways.
It's just neat art.
It's neat art. Next we have the Orbs of Warding.
Another orbs that give you hexproof.
Yeah, orbs giving hexproof is a little bit of a sub-theme.
It's a through line.
Yeah. This one, the flavor text implies that you need all 3 of these to achieve hexproof. You need 1 to guard the body, 1 to protect the mind, and 1 to shield the soul.
They don't know what they're doing like they do on Innistrad, where they just need 1 orb to do this.
Yeah. Innistrad has it down.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
This guy needs 3 orbs to do the job of 1 Innistrad orb. But, Innistrad is just better in a lot of ways.
We knew this. All right, I think that truly is the end of the proper orbs.
Should I talk about my favorite orb?
No, we should wait till the very end.
Okay.
Because now we have a selection of orbs which are not named orbs, but are present in the art.
Yes.
Of ostensibly non-orb cards. All right.
I just had to include this because look at it.
I looked at it and I was like, where's the orb at first?
Yeah.
Because the little familiar is so draws my focus.
The familiar is very striking.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard not to look at the familiar.
Yep.
This is Airtie's familiar, which is standing on an orb.
It is. Yep. That's it.
What a
it's
little
just
cutie.
A cute little familiar. We have a selection of Blood Moons. You put Blood Moon on the list, and I wasn't sure which one you meant.
Well, there's a number of them, so honestly, we could talk about any or all
Let's
of the Blood Moons.
start with the original Blood Moon from the Dark. How do we feel about this?
I like this one. I like that it's to the point.
Mm-hmm.
There's the moon. It's a Blood Moon.
Yeah. It's topical to talk about the Dark when Duskmourn's coming up, because that was the first set with the theme of, hey, dark.
Yeah.
And I loved it at the time. I thought it was so cool and imposing, and
I love the crescent moon set symbol.
Yeah.
I really like that a lot.
It was such a weird ability. I mean, at any point that it had nothing to do with the themes of the Dark. It would seem like if that was the set it was in, it would be something that made non-basic lands into swamps, because it's the Dark, make things dark. But that's cool. It's really made an impact on tons of formats over the years. I think the second art for it was not until the Amonkhet Masterpiece series, right?
Oh, was it? Was it that long?
I think so.
Wow.
2017, and then we have Hit
Yeah,
behind
this
Bolus's
one
horns.
is, the Blood Moon's kind of taking a back seat to everything else here. I
It
still
is.
like it.
But, I mean, there's a river of blood,
Yeah.
which, you know, like, that's, all right.
Yeah.
And,
All right.
when did this secret lair come out? 22 was the, like, metallic one.
Yeah.
Which is really cool looking, but less focused on the orbs and just
Yeah.
focused on the crazy
I
kind of
do
frame.
like that they brought back the crescent moon symbol, kind of a nice nod to
That's
the
true.
original set symbols. But,
I actually hadn't perceived that.
So much perception today.
Yeah. What is this? Double Masters?
Yeah.
This is a less orby moon.
Yeah.
It's,
This is a more of a vague orb. This one this is like a volcanic crater.
yeah.
And then
Is the orb shooting out of it? It doesn't
kind
look
of-
like the moon. It looks like...
yeah, I can't tell if it's shooting out of it or if it's dripping into it.
This looks like those renderings of a black hole consuming a star.
Yeah, this one is a little hazier. It's
Yeah.
hard to say exactly what's taking place here, but we do have the orb-like suggestion
We do.
once
we do.
more.
Wow, there were two variants.
So we went a really long time with no blood moons, and then we've gotten a lot of blood moons.
Yeah.
I like this one quite a bit. Was
What?
this
So both of these are Wilds of Eldraine, the bonus sheet. I don't recall. Oh, this is anime art, isn't it? That's what
Is
it was.
it?
But it's
I
like
guess it is.
Spaghetti Moon.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
that's cool.
Yeah. I had not seen this one before.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever looked at this before.
That's neat. It's like, in this case, the moon is close enough to be doing something very directly to just topple a tower.
Yeah.
And then the other one is a much more stylized. Where
Yeah,
the-
this one feels a lot more flat.
Yeah, purposefully.
Yes.
And the moon itself is almost in the background. It doesn't, like the tower, the cliffs, those are the drawing the focus here. So out of all of those, which is the best blood moon?
Ooh,
I really
the
like
best blood moon?
I really like this anime.
That one's
new one.
really striking.
I think it's the new hotness.
Yeah. I think if I was personally going to select a blood moon, I would either go with the original
Yep.
or that one. The anime one.
I'm between those two and the Amonkhet one, which doesn't focus on the moon as much, but
Yeah,
it's,
see that one doesn't work for me. It doesn't focus on the moon enough.
that's fair. That's fair. I just like the tie-in between the
Okay, that
color
is-
on the frame and
That
the
is
blood
I
river.
do appreciate the river of blood.
Yeah.
It's a lovely river.
Okay. On that point, let's look at a different moon.
Oh yeah. So this is Dakmorbat, a card which I had never seen until yesterday.
Yeah.
And I just really liked this. I was like, oh yeah, there is an orb here. There's
is
a
our
moon in the
Bloomburrow time,
background.
'cause here's a
Yeah,
bat.
here's a bat, and he's going.
And it's a Duskmorn time because it's a moth.
and he's going after that little moth. So
It's everything. All in one.
yeah, Bloomburrow
Is
attempting.
this Portal 2?
I think it's
Yeah, it's got to
Portal
be.
2. This is
Portal-
what 98.
It's definitely one of the portals.
It's
and
definitely
the first,
a portal.
The third portal it was the Three Kingdoms,
Mm-hmm.
and so it has that character for the. It's not
I
that.
think this is 2.
And I think 1 was the star, right?
Yes, because I have a bunch of swamps from this set. It is
Yeah.
Portal 2.
Yeah. Jumping back to the present.
Yes. All will be one. Blue Sun's Twilight. So this one, I had a hard time because a lot of the cards that take place or showcase anything from New Phyrexia, I found a lot of things that showed the 5 Sons of Mirrodin.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I was like, okay, I don't want to include all of these.
Yeah.
This is going to be really boring if it's just like, hey, here's another card that shows the 5 Sons of Mirrodin. So this is Blue Sun's Twilight, featuring my personal favorite Praetor. I have kind of I can never completely decide. I mean, my loyalty always lies with Sheoldred,
I was
but
gonna say.
I just really like Jin Gataxia.
Fine.
I think I want to be Sheoldred. I want to hang out with Jin. So, I don't know. Anyway, he is holding or putting his hands kind of in the shape of the blue sun. It's implied that the sun is, like, obviously in the sky. He's not necessarily holding on to it, but it looks
Yeah.
like he is, and it's cool.
That's definitely
And you've got all... I also wanted to point out, because we'd previously talked about how Jin was like, I'm going to put eye stalks on everything.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of critters in the foreground
there
where you can clearly see the eye stalks.
There are no eyes in Phyrexia except on Jin Gatak. He took them all and put them there.
All and put them on stalks, and I love it. I love that.
More Phyrexia. This is from the Commander set.
This is another super cool one. I had not seen this one until yesterday, and now I'm trying to figure out if I need to buy one just for fun.
Fun.
Yeah, you know, fun. But yeah, this is Glistening Sphere, and I love this. I love the oil slick dripping out of the sphere onto the floor.
Uh-huh.
That rainbow surface is really appealing.
I feel this push and pull simultaneously with a lot of horror stuff, and this one is a little bit more pull than push for me. It's right on the cusp.
You don't like that congealed oil dripping out of the sphere?
No. I'm going to skip over to one of the things I put on the list because we're in Phyrexia, and I wanted to make sure to call out, actually a couple, but primarily Monument to Perfection, because this one, you know, came out 2 years after 2021 when everyone was pondering their orbs. And this is like, the artist I like to imagine was like, I'm going to ponder all the orbs. This is going to be the ponderiest of orbs.
Yes. Infinite pondering.
Yes, and so there we are, pondering all the orbs all at once.
You know what I think I forgot to send you? But I really hope you put it in your file.
What's that?
Ponder.
Yes.
Good.
Actually, I meant to start the whole thing by talking about, but I got
it. Just occurred to me. I was like, you know which one we should definitely be pondering.
Yeah. Well, there's no rules to this, so yeah.
Let's look at Ponder.
Well, this is actually not the first art of Ponder. It came out in Lorwyn, and was just a merfolk, which was cool and appropriate for Lorwyn, but this is iconic.
Yeah, I think when you talk about this card, this is probably what most people picture.
Absolutely. And this art's been reprinted quite a few times now.
Yeah, this is very iconic art for Ponder, and features the moon in 3 different phases. 3 wonderful orbs.
Yeah. I mean, that's just important iconography to lots of people.
Yeah.
It's just the moon phases, and it's cool, and it's universal, and And then, in Modern Horizons 1, we had Pondering Mage, a very direct reference to that.
Yes.
Explicitly.
Yeah, it's almost like the POV has been switched, and so now we're looking at the person doing the pondering.
Yeah. Well, in Ponder, though, you see that face kind of behind. So, I don't know. Something like that.
I guess I'm thinking of, like, the way the thumb is oriented. In Ponder, you are looking at the orbs. You're doing the pondering.
Yeah.
And in Pondering Mage, it's like the perspective is flipped, where I'm perceiving the ponderer.
Yeah. And, back to the Phyrexia point, just one last one. Suture Priest.
I love
this is just on the other side of the push and pull, where I am repulsed by this, but I am also drawn in by this.
I love this card.
The repulsion isn't as strong, and so I love this card too. And it's just so cool and creepy. This
is one of those cards that, like, every time I build a white deck, I try to put this in there. Regardless of whether or not it's good, I'm like, I should put Suture Priest in here.
Look, white cards can be creepy too.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a lot of that.
It's just one of those where I'm always like, I should put this in there, yes. This deck needs Suture Priest.
I support that. Alright, back to where we were. We were heading into...
Caged Sun.
Also on Phyrexia, but does not look remotely Phyrexian.
Yeah.
What is the implication, though? I mean, if this is in the new Phyrexia set, where... For the Phyrexians 1, they took over Mirrodin, but we see what looks like an undespoiled
this
landscape.
is the, this one has the Mirrodin symbol. So there were some cards that are not, like, they're not completed, they're not depicting things. So, yeah, this, I mean, I don't know if this features in the lore anywhere, but it feels like this is a technique used to amplify mana.
Yeah.
I mean, basically what this does is it enters the field, you choose a color, creatures of that color get +1/+1, and then whenever land adds that color, you get to add an additional. So it's like some kind of amplifying device, and it's very pretty.
Yeah. So it's kind of the opposite of what the Fomori did on Shamil's Inner Sun.
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess. I mean, this is like the the good version of that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you could do this, and it's like just very aesthetically pleasing.
And it's also an orb surrounding an orb.
Yeah.
So that's like double
Like
orbs.
orb on orb, and then there's
Yeah.
an orb in the background because there's another sun that you can see on the horizon.
And speaking of, here's all 5 of them in
yeah,
Alloy Murder.
so remember when I said I didn't include all of the 5? Like,
Yeah.
I included a lot of them.
Yeah, just representative.
So yeah, this one, I almost didn't include this. I mean, I think everyone knows how much I like the little mer creatures. That's the little mascot I always bring with me to our events. But yeah, this one has the 5 suns. It also has, I like the eyes and the additional lights or whatever it's got on its head. And it's got some little round ball joint things
Extra
going.
circles
so,
in this particular
yeah, there's a
art.
lot of circles in this art. And I really enjoyed that and wanted to show off this little creature because I really like him.
Absolutely. All Suns Dawn.
Here's another one with the 5 Sons of Mirrodin.
Is it also from Fifth Dawn?
I don't think so.
So I grabbed the wrong copy. It is.
It is?
It's Fifth Dawn.
Is
yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah, it's the third one in the Mirrodin block.
Okay, I was for some reason mix up the little set symbol.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But yeah, this is yet another one that I included.
That's fair.
Which I was just like, this
There's
is
like
really
80 of them,
pretty.
and you only included like 5,
yeah,
so we're
yeah,
good.
We're fine.
Okay. Back to the planets rather
Yeah,
than suns.
we're back
so
there.
we've covered moons, suns, and we're back to planets.
Yeah, so this one is from Midnight Hunt. And this, again, I was just like, well, here we've got some more orb pondering. We've got some planetary elements. Why not? This is Firmament Sage, and they're looking at some kind of planetary model.
I love it.
Where you can see a couple of different planets or moons or something being shown in orbit of a larger orb.
I have grown to hate Day and Night as mechanic. Anytime you're playing in paper,
It's not fun.
it's fine in Arena.
Yeah, I
but-
love it in Arena. It doesn't bother me there.
Yeah. Someone takes care of that for
Yeah, I just don't like having to deal with it in
you.
paper.
Yep. But this card is really beautiful.
Yeah, I like the picture.
Here's a very abstract one.
Yeah, this one's interesting. So this is from Modern Horizons 2. This is Fractured Sanity. There is a concept sketch version of this that's real, even more abstracted.
Yeah, should I pull that one up?
Yeah, let's take a look at that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you can still see the shapes there, what ends up being the final card. But it shows an orb breaking open.
Yeah.
And we're seeing some things kind of moving away from it, moving out of it. It feels, to me, this card feels very symbolic of like having a mental breakdown.
That makes sense. I mean, that's really what it's supposed
I mean,
to
that's
be.
exactly what's supposed to be happening,
it's
but
good
like,
at that.
I think they really visually captured that sense. Like, I feel something when I look at this card.
I'm not focusing on the orb so much now, but I really like seeing the sketch version, which I had not seen either version of this card, I don't think.
Okay.
And here you can see from the sketch more clearly what the different parts of this are. So it looks like there's a cityscape on the bottom, perhaps, and there's like a lizardish thing up here
there's
circling around.
some
And
sort
now
of-
that I have seen that and see kind of the component parts are in a simpler representation, I can look at the full color version and kind of visually make sense. Maybe making sense is the opposite of the point, but I can see where things are coming apart and are I like it more. I like comprehending what I'm looking at, generally speaking.
Yeah, I think I actually saw the sketch version of this first because I opened it in a pack.
Oh yeah.
And I thought it was neat, and then I looked this up and was like, oh, that's cool.
That was a pretty unique and neat
Yeah.
booster pack or booster fun.
Yeah, I know that those were kind of polarizing in terms of how, like, personally people I know either seemed to kind of love or hate them. But I really liked getting the behind-the-scenes glimpse of like the work in progress or the concept art behind some stuff. I really enjoyed that feature.
Chromatic orrery. So another orrery. I suppose that's what the firmament sage was looking at.
Yeah, this is just a very pretty one. This is a Vulcan Baga piece. With some lovely art featuring the 5 colors, if you will. Black is often represented in the cards as purple, instead of being like jet black. So we have the 5 colors here. And this is a legendary artifact that lets you spend mana as though it were mana of any color. So it's kind of nifty because right after that you can tap it for 5 and then do whatever you want.
I love some big mana nonsense, and this is my kind of card. I don't own one, but
that's surprising.
That is just a testament to my what's the word? Reservedness, self-control.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely a lie. I just haven't thought about it at the right time.
How have you not gotten one of these? It's very confusing.
Yeah, because my big mana deck is Fella, and she doesn't need 5 colors. Yeah, that's basically it.
Oh, I love this one. This is Alpine Moon, which features kind of another orb within an orb. So you have it. We're back to moons.
Yeah.
We have a moon, and then there's this aurora in a circular shape around it that is very visually striking. I don't think I own this card, but I feel like I should.
It's such a weird one. I'm pretty sure it shows up in some sideboards in like Pioneer, that sort of thing. But it's just such a weird, because it feels very directly like a Blood Moon derivative.
Yeah, you have to choose a non-basic land card name.
Yeah.
And lands that your opponents control with that name lose all their land types and abilities.
But they can
then
tap
they
for a
can
mana
tap for a mana of any color.
So it just turns off like Shrine of Nykthos?
I guess. I'm like, what do you want to sideboard this in against? I don't know the better.
Did I say the right name of that card? No, Nykthos Shrine.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, what do you want to trade mana of any one color for their ability?
Yep.
I don't know. But it's a beautiful card. Like, I love this art.
Is it anti like Urza's Saga text?
Maybe it could be
for
stuff like that, or like the I guess like the Tron lands.
Well, yeah, I don't know. We're just here to look at the beautiful pictures. And this one came up yesterday. Yeah. This is kind of the reason I think we're doing this today.
There's 2 reasons I included this. This is Crystal Ball, a card that I run in my Kefnet deck, because I want to look at the top card of my library as much as possible.
You should clarify which Kefnet
that is. This is God Eternal Kefnet, the one that cares about the top card of the library, as opposed to Kefnet the Mindful. Yeah. God Eternal Kefnet is neither mindful or demure, but the other reason I included this is because it's illustrated by Ron Spencer.
I didn't even know.
Probably my favorite Magic artist of all time. Yeah. So I was like, going into the folder, we're gonna be looking at that. Also, I just love this card. So it's got these wonderfully textured candles, right? And my favorite thing about this is like you can see the candles on the sides, and then it looks like the crystal ball itself is like made of light and heat, and it's having the same effect on the wax beneath it as the fire is having on the candles, and I just love that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's a cool card.
You gave it to me the other day.
Yes, I did give it to you in exchange for something that scryed at no cost.
Yeah. That was what is the card that you used to do all those exchanges?
It was the Spree card from Thunder Junction. Yeah. Which one was it? We gotta look this up now. Yeah, we had a really fun game the other day where I switched control of several things. I took that worm you have.
The Elder Scale Worm, which was keeping me alive, with Shifting Grift.
Shifting Grift, that's the one.
I didn't fully understand how Kefnet worked. And so
I got this off the top of my library. I had 5 Sapphire medallions at this point for an unrelated reason. So I was able to do all of the Spree abilities for only 2 blue, and did you sacrifice, or you did something?
No, you targeted my Elder Scale Worm, which was keeping me from getting killed each turn.
Yes.
And I Beast Within whatever creature you were.
That's right.
Whatever derpy. Oh, it was like the Windrake variant in this set.
Yes.
The Geyser Drake.
You got rid of my Geyser Drake so that it wasn't a valid target.
I was busy looking up the rules to make sure that would stop the exchange from happening.
Which it did.
I felt so smart. And then
I cast the real card from my hand because the one that you were thwarting was the copy that Kefnet had. It's like he creates an illusion of it almost.
Yeah.
And then I got to take the worm anyway, and I gave you something. I gave you the beast that you gave me from Beast Within because that just seemed fitting.
Anyway, I thought that story was worth telling.
It was. I loved that game. It was wonderful. I didn't win. It was fantastic, though.
Yeah.
I had such a good time.
And we were all tapping the crystal ball.
Yes.
And then we said, we should do an Orbs episode.
Yeah.
And here we are.
I was like, we've been talking about this. Next up, we have Forbidden Alchemy.
Is this the art you meant? Or did you mean the Innistrad one? Because I couldn't find an orb in that. I was confused.
I think it is that. No, it was Forbidden Alchemy.
Oh, it's Forbidden Alchemy. Here's the other.
Yeah, no, it's this one.
Okay.
It's specifically this one. Because I wanted to call back to this because this is Saruman
Right.
pondering an orb.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's perfect. So this is one of those more artistic orbs where it's not as concretely spherical or something that you can necessarily pick up and touch so much as it is like this collection of light in an orb shape.
Yeah.
There might be something at the center of that, but mostly what we're seeing from what I can perceive is there's all of these things around that are producing colored smoke.
Oh, you're
and they're
right.
being like drawn up together into this spherical shape.
Yeah. Cool. Of course, we do have literally the card in which Saruman ponders the orb.
Also,
I mean, that's literally the thing that's happening on the original meme.
Also that.
And we have, in my list as well, I included the Palantir of Orthanc, which is the same
As
orb.
you should.
And that's just such a fun card, and it won me my pre-release.
I remember you telling me that story. That was exciting.
So proud. It was... I think at the time everyone was a little uncertain about whether this card was going to be any good in Limited or not. Is it going to be too much of a liability for you?
Yeah.
And sometimes you just won. Usually just won. It was great. Good times.
That seems fitting.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Here's another very, like metaphorical orb.
Yeah. This is another good one. This is Corpse Harvester. So this is kind of one of those black hole effects where I'm like, okay, is this really an orb? Or, like, is this thing radiating the black tendrils? Or is it pulling things in?
Either way, it's round.
Yeah, either way, it's round.
That's what counts.
I don't know, is that the tagline for this video?
Yes.
Either way, it's round.
I have this in my Gizengeralf deck,
and I
which
think
was like my
awesome.
first commander deck, which I still maintain, and it's now all about necro duality and just cloning my stupid zombies, and I love it.
It's a fun deck.
I like to play suboptimal but flavorful cards, and like a 5 mana zombie to tutor when like there are cheaper ways to tutor, but no, this is a zombie that tutors.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
It's very cool. You've played that deck against me, and you've let me play that deck, and it's a lot of fun.
I love it. All right, back to Alpha again, another just absolute classic, and it's the moon, but it's this
time
one.
It's the bad moon. Love this original with the skull in the face of the moon. There's a couple reprints of this too, which feature some.
I know.
Orbs.
I got at least this one.
I think this is the first one that I've actually saw, but I love the original printing with the skull. That's really good.
It really set the tone. That and Drudge Skeletons just. Yeah. Here's a very recent one.
Yeah, Contested Game Ball. So this one was from Lost Caverns.
I thought it was
Ixalan.
Contested Ball Game.
No.
My brain is something. Yeah.
No, they're contesting the ball.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The ball is the artifact.
Yeah.
The game is more abstract. Okay.
But yeah, this is just a colorful orb worth pondering.
Yeah.
I pondered if there was anything fun I could do with this. I determined that there was not.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah.
I love that you put the Homerid Shaman in here. There's 2 orbs.
Yeah, there's 2. So it's no secret that I'm really fond of Homerids and sea life in general, so of course I put the Homerid Shaman in here. Not only is there a lovely moon in the corner, but the shaman is holding a staff with an orb on top, and there's a little crab in the corner.
Yeah, and Amy Weber was an absolute mainstay of early Magic art.
Yeah, I really like her art.
Yeah. It's very stylized in a way that you just don't see with much Magic art. We're much more realistic these days. So that is a neat element. And I just love the Homerids. I love the concept of them when I was opening Fallen Empires packs and didn't realize how weak they were compared to everything else.
Yeah.
But it's so clunky because so much of them, they wanted you to be keeping track of tide counters and adding them and taking them away every turn. But I loved the idea at the time. And yeah,
there was
I'm glad to see them get credit.
They brought back one Homerid for the
Outlaws.
Return to Dominaria.
Oh.
There is, I forget its name. Dominaria was a really special, Hammered Explorer. So Dominaria was a really special set for me because that was the first time that I did well at a pre-release event, where like I think I came in second. Wow. And I had that card in my deck, and I had Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. And so I got to do this really gross thing where I was playing, I did this, and then, what's his ability? If you look up Teferi, I think it's his plus, or his, I'm trying to remember. Not Timebender. Yeah, I go down, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, that's what I did. I used his -3 to put a non-land permanent third from the top, and then I used the Hammered to mill them. And, like, what a satisfying way to thwart my opponents.
Nice.
It was a good time.
Yeah. I like that.
That was back when they were still doing events at midnight, and so I didn't start doing poorly until I went up against a judge at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And at that point I was like, fair.
Yep.
You've done enough.
Yeah, it's been a while since I did one of those. All right, back to Innistrad, our favorite plane.
So I almost didn't include this one, and then I was like, wait a minute. This whole jar is full of orbs. Eyes are orbs.
Yep, they sure are.
And here's a jar of them.
Yep.
Jar of eyeballs.
And that's pretty much it, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
Jar of eyeballs,
This is just a big jar of eyeballs.
Good.
Which is kind of a cool concept.
Yeah. Back to Mirrodin. I had this same one on my list that I was going to add if you didn't.
So this is the Etched Oracle.
Yeah.
And this is an artifact creature with Sunburst. So it comes into play with a counter, a +1 counter, for each color of mana used to pay for it.
Yeah.
And it's just a really striking figure holding a colorful orb that I find very visually appealing.
When people say sad robot, meaning solemn simulacrum, I always think of this art and get confused, and it takes me a minute to remember what the actual one looks like.
This does have an air of melancholy about it, and I'm not sure if it's the pose or what it is that makes me feel that way.
Yeah. It's really nice, though. Crucible of... I thought, until you put this on this list and I was staring at it, that this was an hourglass.
So I'm still trying to figure that out, actually. This, you know those...
You're right, though. I think these are orbs.
You know those pictures, they're like visual illusion pictures that can be read in two ways, depending on how you look at them?
Yeah.
So I kind of see this as both. This is another Ron Spencer piece. When I look at it sometimes, I see two orbs almost colliding.
Yeah.
And then when I look at it slightly differently, I can see there's a central, like a hole or drain from the top orb that looks like what you said, like more of an hourglass, but I don't see the connection. Like maybe they're in the middle, there's a little tiny...
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be that they're colliding, because it looks like this outer ring here is like a ripple, like an aftershock. So I think they ran into each other. I don't know.
I'm not really sure.
But even if we're wrong about those being orbs, there are orbs all over the place in the background.
That was the like the tiebreaker for me, where like I was trying to decide, do I include this, do I not? Yeah. And I was like, there's a ton of orbs in the background. It's fine. We'll find something to ponder. Yeah. I had a few more that I don't know if they're artistic, but I definitely wanted to call them out. I said a few. There's too many. One is both forms of the Mirari, because it is just such an important orb in Magic's history. Orb. Like, we finished one chunk of the story. I think it was like the Weatherlight Saga essentially ended, and then next story is about the Mirari. Yeah. And then we follow the Mirari around Otaria for a while, and it's the focus of everything. And then it's actually, even though we don't see it anymore, it's at the core of the plot of Mirrodin, because it was what becomes Memnarch eventually. And I mean, this is also, is this Odyssey?
Yeah.
I mean, the Mirari is the set symbol. Yep. This is a very iconic orb.
Yep. And then I had honestly forgotten, I just closed the image on the screen, I've already forgotten what this card does. Right. But what I definitely remember is what Mirari's Wake does, because I love mana doublers.
I think I've seen a lot more people play Mirari's Wake than I've seen people play Mirari. Yeah. Like, a few people do, it like copies spells, so there's definitely times when it's useful. But yeah, Mirari's Wake.
You get an Anthem, and you get the mana doubler, but it's
This was also in that game that we played with Kefnet versus.
it was.
Andy had it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. In Onyxia.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah,
right
it was
out of the
Kefnet
box.
versus Vorinclex versus was it Nycthea?
Onyxia.
Nycthea.
Right. But I like what in the art here, because the Mirari, presumably what it does is it just causes like flourishing everywhere. And so in the main art, you see sort of like a savanna territory. It looks like it's not completely barren, it's scrubland sort of. But in the reflection of the Mirari, it's absolutely verdant. There's
I like
plants
that.
everywhere, and I don't know if those are butterflies or leaves or flowers, but it's certainly just life is springing forth everywhere. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Then a couple more orbs that I wanted to call out from the early days of the game, from that same cycle we mentioned with the crystal rod or whatever it was when we were talking about polyartifacts, the wooden sphere. It's a wooden sphere.
I like
That's
this.
pretty much it. But it's Mark Tedin.
I mean, if this was if that was a sculpture that I could buy for my house, I would.
Oh, it's really cool. And when I was first getting into the game, I was convinced these must be awesome. I was trying to build decks around, monocolored decks around each of these things, and they're terrible, but I also thought Healing Salve was good. So many of us did, because the game was new.
When I first started playing, I thought Death Touch was way stronger than it is. I mean, it's good, but not to the degree that I thought it was.
Yeah. And then let me finish with my alpha ones.
Okay.
Fireball. Iconic orb. Both in Magic and in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, classic.
Different things happen there. But the math on this card has always been insane. If you go into Scryfall and just look at all the printings of Fireball and all the ways it's been phrased, my favorite one is that at one point in actually that green box there is, I think, Beatdown is what it's called. It was XY in the casting cost, and that's the only time they printed it with a Y in there. There are apparently like 3 or 4 other cards in the game that have a Y involved in the rules somewhere, but
really interesting.
It's pretty obscure. There's not a lot of them. But I don't know, this might actually be the clearest way to explain what's going on there. Like,
I mean,
X
that
means
actually
2 things.
That makes the most sense to me.
Yeah. But legitimately, I see why they didn't keep printing that card. Is that also? This artist did like half of Alpha. It's ridiculous. I'm going to hold off on this one because it's another one of my favorites. But also early Magic, a couple from the Dark. We already mentioned Blood Moon, but Dark Sphere is very similar looking to Wooden Sphere, but this one is spooky and floating. It's also the same artist. And this one has some creepy figures who also seem to be made out of wood. Or whatever this material is.
Yeah, this one has a fleshy feel to it for some reason. Or like, maybe not fleshy, but like chitin.
Yeah. It's also
because it doesn't look soft.
It's also very much into Geiger territory.
Yeah, this is perfect for Duskmourn.
Yeah, this one's really cool.
Yeah.
And then the Goblin Wizard, which I think is the most expensive card in the Dark, and I don't know why, but it's cool. It really is a cool card. Maybe it's an old school staple or something, but he is pondering a basketball? It looks like a leather ball that's steamy. He's doing something there. I probably don't want to know what it's made of or what its function is or anything, but
it's probably made out of something nasty.
But he's pondering it, and it's an orb. So
yeah, we don't get to see goblins doing a lot of pondering.
Yeah.
But this is very topical for what we're talking about today.
And then there was a 2-part cycle in Lorwyn Shadowmoor that I thought was worth mentioning, one of which I like very much. Incremental Growth. It's pretty. It's very
nice.
Scenic Orbs.
Yeah.
And then one that I can barely stand to look at. It's Absolute Mirror Incremental Blight.
Oh, is it because of the little holes?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like it's emerging out of holes. It's so...
Okay. I like the thing at the bottom that kind of looks like a really long parasite or something.
It specifically refers to them as crops in the... why not?
Can you go back to the original one and see if there's like a tapeworm? No, there isn't.
Just,
okay.
Sorry?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. I wanted to call out one with nothing, often referred
That's
to
a
as
cool one.
the worst magic card ever printed, like intentionally to
Yeah.
give you something creative to do with it. I think that's Saviors of Kamigawa. But yeah, it's some orbs, but he's no longer capable of pondering because that's the point.
No more pondering.
Yep.
Now the orbs ponder him.
So it seems. So it seems. Here is what I think is the person pondering most intensely, or the most pondering card in the entire set. I mean, in
Yeah.
all of Magic.
This almost goes beyond pondering, I
Yeah.
think. This is intense.
She is going to find out how ponder you can.
Yeah. I feel like she wants to become the orb.
Well, maybe. Maybe. She certainly wants to know how.
Yeah.
This one's a stretch, but I just wanted to call it out. Empress Galena, the original art Invasion, has an orb. But what is up with these little seal things?
I
They
really
look
like
so
them.
sad. And I mean, her mechanic is gain control of target
Yeah.
legend or legendary permanent.
Maybe
So
they're legendary.
yeah, I guess she
took them.
stole them, and they are not happy to be here, but they're hers.
They
and
can't leave.
yeah.
So
But look at them.
their little faces are very cute.
I know, but it's so mopey.
And she looks so confrontational. Like, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do about it? You can't have them back.
Yeah. Ludo, do you feel for the little critters?
Maybe.
Okay. I know, we're almost done. I'll play with you soon. Who else do I actually want to talk about? I just really
Oh.
love these fairies and their autumnal wings. And so I wanted to use this Pondering of an Orb in the front as an excuse to bring that up.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
I've never noticed the orb in that one before, but yeah, I love the fall foliage leaves
Yeah.
as the wings for them. That's a really cool touch.
Yeah. We say that as we're recording on like the first rainy day of fall here. It's nice.
Yeah.
And then this is one from Eldraine that I had not seen. So I think, given that its collector number is 311, I think it's
Yeah.
just from like the pre-con intro decks or whatever. or the
Okay, I was like,
Planeswalker
I've
decks.
never seen this either.
Super obscure card. Never heard of it. But there's a cool little orb there, and it's
Yeah.
it's really cool art. Like, it could have been
That's
Golgari
neat.
art. But it's not. It's
Just
just,
a little oof.
yeah. Oofs are neat.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how many there are in the game. Can I make... Been looking for an excuse to use the... what is it called? The Convincing General prize card
Mm-hmm. Is
that
it-
combines
is it
two
oofs
creature
typal?
types. Well, it lets you pick two creature
Yeah,
types and treat them
like
as the
you
same.
could do
Oofs and skeletons.
and skeletons, skeleton oofs, oofs all skeletons.
Combine it with anything and it's oofs all. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah.
Okay, well, you've just named the deck. Now I just have to figure out what to pair it with definitively. I think I can bring it home to the last two things I want to call out then, and that is Damnation, which is just one of the best and coolest black cards.
Yeah,
You know, the whole point of this set was color shifting.
yeah,
And so this art is a direct reference, same artist, Kev Walker did them both, to this art from Wrath of God, where you have, I presume that's like the will of God come down
Yeah.
to
Everything
blast
gets
the
nuked.
landscape, and just the same thing in inverse polarity
Yeah.
with Damnation, and I get it. So like, I think in Wrath of God there's a blast going outward, and
Yeah.
in Damnation it's sucking in. It's like a black hole.
yeah. I love this card.
Me too. I have always loved this card, and I don't know what it's going for now, but I definitely bought a far too expensive copy of this printing a while back for like $50 or something.
Yeah.
'Cause I just needed to own one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. But then one more before I get to my last one.
Yeah.
Damping Sphere. It's a good sideboard card, but it also is just so striking.
It is. I really like this orb.
The lightness under it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of ironic. You'd think a damping sphere, like, it would be light surroundings and it's a dark thing in the middle, but no. Adam Paquette chose instead it's dark around it, and it, I guess, dampens the negative effect or something, but it's just, the result is so striking.
It's really cool. I also like how you can see like the super dark storm clouds surrounding it, and then directly behind it you see this like clear blue sunny day.
It's so beautiful. It's
Yeah.
repelling whatever this is.
Yeah. It's a really cool card.
Yeah. Okay, and then my actual favorite orb from Alpha, the Suvin Doppelganger, which I know this is just a wildly popular art.
Yeah.
And for good reason.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's one of the only cards that I prefer to see in white border. I do not like most white border cards, despite that being, you know, supposedly it should be nostalgic for me, because that's like when I was into the game, but this is one where it highlights the figures in that white border tie-in so beautifully. So this is just... And they've each got their own orb to ponder, identically. So yeah.
That's such a pretty card.
Favorite orb. And yours is also finally getting to your favorite orb.
It's time.
From Alpha.
It's time. Can you guess what it is?
And it's a continuous artifact.
It is. It's Winter Orb. By Mark Tadine. Which you actually got me my copy of Winter Orb while I was standing in line to get cards signed for a friend. So I got to get my Winter Orb signed that day. And then immediately went back to our friend's place to play a game.
And they were all judging me for giving you this power.
Yeah, apparently they didn't like that or something. So I got countered the first time I tried to play it. But whatever, it's fine.
And you have not forgiven.
No, I have not.
Revenge is coming in October.
Sweet Revenge is coming.
Yeah, good choice. Very good choice. One of the first cards that I fixated on in the game because it's insane.
Yeah, just such striking art too. Like I love this thing so much.
And now I own one old school deck, which just got 4 Winter Orbs in it because of course it does. Yeah.
Love that.
All right. We'll be back soon with probably more Duskmorn topics.
Yeah.
Yep, because that's coming in quick.
It's time. It's spooky time.
All right. Let me grab
I
an
should
orb.
have brought an orb. I didn't think about that. We have an orb for pondering.
We do.